to a brand new series of 007, the Bondcast. Now, I appreciate the lighting is not that great, and it looks a little bit grainy, but we're working. It's a work in progress, or it's just my monitor screen. Who knows? You'll have to let me know in the comments. We're back in Series 2. You know what that means. We're going into From Russia with Love. Last video was up on Christmas Day, and I hope you enjoyed Series 1 and everything we did there. Now, before we get into this, you'll probably realise, but Kyle, you've got the same intro and the same outro, which you'll see obviously at the end of the video. That is very much the case. However, I can explain. I haven't had chance to sit and make a new intro or anything at the moment. I'm working on it. Don't come for me in the comments. All right. It is the 5th of February 2026, and it is good to be back. This you will be seeing on the 7th of February 2026, which is the Saturday. And yes, we're back. I see different room layout, more music equipment coming. You see my microphone behind me there. Yeah, but this is the Bondcast, and that's what we're here for. James bloody Bond. That's what we're here for. So, obviously, Series 2 From Russia with Love is Series 2. This season, I'm going to flesh it out a bit more, because there was a bit more in this film than we had in the first one. I'm going to look at some of the cars and the gadgets and tech. That's a thing then. Had a blonde moment. Because it was just a lot of character profiles, but I mean, you weren't going to get much from the first, because it just set up and there wasn't a lot happened. So, this episode is about the plot of From Russia with Love. Oh, and here we go. Straight down to the plot. So, as mentioned in many previous Bondcast videos, naturally, you're all aware of Spectre. And From Russia with Love is the very basis, the very, first real feel we get of Spectre. We get a little bit in Doctor No, but he's just a little bit. Yeah. But it really sort of comes in film 2 and is woven throughout the entire film series. So, the plot. International criminal organization Spectre seeks revenge against MI6 agent James Bond for the death of their agent Dr. No in Jamaica. Spectre's chief planner, Czechoslovak chess grandmaster Kronstein, I had to think, and that was a very big word, devises a plan to lure Bond into a trap. There's one man that said never put him in a trap, but it wasn't James Bond. That was the Doctor. I always reference Doctor Who. Little surprise to come with you. We're not going to talk about that on this podcast. And so, using as bait the prospects of procuring a Lecter cryptography device from the Soviet Union's consulate in Istanbul, Spectre operative Rosa Klebb, she's a strange woman, former head of SMERSH, Soviet counterintelligence, and I need to do an episode on SMERSH, I think. I've done an episode on Spectre, I'll do an episode on SMERSH, because that is a very big thing in Bond 2, but back to it. Is assigned to oversee the mission and chooses trained killer Donald Grant to assassinate Bond at the right moment. To set the trap, Kleb recruits a cipher clerk at the consulate, and then Tatiana Tatiana Romanova. It's a very big word and name. To unwittingly assist in the plan, tricking Romanova into believing Kleb is still working for Smersh. There's a lot of backhanded double crossing going on here. In London, Bond is called to a meeting with M, still played by whoever he was played by in the first film. Go back to series 1 to find out. It's been a long time, alright? Shh. And informed that Tatiana has requested Bond's help to defect to the West in exchange for providing British intelligence with a lector. Exactly as Kronstein predicted. M suspects M suspects a trap. Teeth back in. But decides to honour Tatiana's request before departing. Bond is equipped with a special briefcase from Q, or Q branch, but when does Q actually get introduced properly? I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. But Q branch, but yeah, Q Quartermaster, containing several defensive gadgets and an Armalite AR-7 sniper rifle to help on his assignment. Upon arriving in Istanbul, Bond works alongside the head of MI6's branch in the city, Ali Karim Bey, while he awaits word from Tatiana. Grant is shadowing Bond to protect him until he steals the Lecter. Excuse me. During this time, Kerim Bey is attacked by Soviet agent Krelenko. My screen seems very high, sorry. Mid podcast camera adjustment. I didn't realise how high the camera was. After an attack on the men while they hide out at a Roma settlement, Kerim Bey assassinates Krelensu with Bond's help before they can flee the city. Seems to be a much longer plot than Doctor No. Eventually, Tatiana meets Bond at his hotel suite, where she agrees to provide plans to the consulate to help him steal the Lecter. The pair spend the night together, unaware that Kleb and Grant are filming them. That was a very big thing. Yeah, they did that in Doctor No. That was like, do you know what? They didn't have a telly or other things to amuse them in those days, but also they were filmed without consent, and these days that's like jail time. Upon receiving the consulate's floor plans and a description of the Lecter from Romanova, the latter, which MI6 confirms, and Bond and Kerim Bey make and execute a plan to steal the Lecter before all three make a haste escape to the city on board the Orient Express. The Orient Express, a very famous train, and as far as I'm aware, only appears in this film for a handful of scenes. But it is a very nice train nonetheless, and they do go on a train in this film. They like trains. Aboard, Kerim Bey and Bond subdue Commissar Benz, a Soviet security officer. While Bond returns to Tatiana to wait for the rendezvous with one of Kerim Bey's sons, Grant kills both Kerim Bey and Benz. Angered, Bond questions Romanova's true motives. And if you watch the film, well, basically, she's a bad guy. Right? When the train arrives in Belgrade, Bond informs one of Kerim Bey's sons of his father's death and receives instructions to rendezvous with a British agent at Nash named Zagreb. However, Grant overhears the conversation, kills Nash, and assumes his identity. He drugs Tatiana at dinner and overpowers Bond. He reveals that Tatiana was a pawn inspector's plan. He intends to kill both her and Bond. I imagine if he killed Bond, that'd be the end of James Bond, and then I'd only be talking about 2 films, and that'd be very boring. In fact, I don't think I'd have done a podcast if there were only 2 films, to be honest. But Bond doesn't die. Rest assured, if you've not seen the films, spoilers, Bond doesn't die in this film. He wants to stage it as a murder-suicide and leaving behind faked blackmail evidence which will scandalise the British intelligence community. Bond tricks Grant into setting off a booby trap in Bond's attached case before the two engage in a vicious fight, ending with Bond killing Grant by stabbing and then garroting him. Yes, very graphic. Please go and watch the films. Taking the lecture and the film of their night together, Bond and Romanova leave the train in Istria, Yugoslavia, and use Grant's escape plan. They evade helicopter and boat attacks by Spectre agents. Oh, that's a very fun scene. I liked that scene. That was very fun. They're like, yeah, in the water. That's all very good. And then they reach safety. Learning of Grant's death and Bond's survival, Spectre's enigmatic chairman, the one, the only, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, or number 1, has Kronstein executed for his plan's disastrous failure. As the organization promised to sell back the lecture to the Russians, Klebb is ordered to recover it and kill Bond, while Bond and Tatiana are resting in a Venice hotel. Venice. Right for summer, isn't it? I'd love to go to Venice. Wouldn't you? Klebb comes to their room disguised as a maid. When Klebb prepares to shoot Bond, Tatiana knocks her gun to the floor. Klebb then tries to stab Bond. I don't know what their problem is. They just don't like James. It's not very nice, is it? She tries to stab Bond with a venom-tipped blade in her shoe. Oh, yes, the fancy shoe blades. See that in a lot of spy films. James Bond, Kingsman. Kingsman has some good films, to be honest. Very funny. Especially second one with Elton John. Sorry, we're not talking about Kingsman. This is the BONDCAST, not the Kingscast. Or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But she struggles with Bond, and Tatiana shoots her dead. With his mission accomplished, Bond spends some time on a romantic gondola ride with Tatiana, and drops the blackmail film into the canal. And just a little mention for a future episode, I might actually make it episode 2 about the music for this. The theme that plays at the end of From Russia with Love as the credits roll is sampled and played in a very different format by Linkin Park in one of their songs. But that is next episode. Sorry, short one, but we're back at it. Enjoy the video. Like my channel, subscribe, all that jazz. You know what to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.